Next page is an update. We did receive the new percentages for IMRF for 09, which is the total employer rate number there. So you got the member contributions at the top, and then it breaks down all the how all the percentages come together for the employer side. And I penciled in what 08 was, just for you can see as a comparison. So 2 out of the 3, you know, decreased in percentage, which will help the pension fund, as we've talked about, as we're looking at, you know, trying to bridge that gap in the pension fund. Obviously, a lower percentage of a match will definitely help there. So, for informational purposes, just wanted to provide that. We'll continue to calculate. I was working on trying to bring, you know, another summary to show the pay downs that we talked about last month, and I'd like to try to recalculate the change in percentages here to see how much that will actually change, you know, as we forecast that. So I will definitely get back. We'll bring that back, you know, and discuss that again. But I'd like to use this new information that we received here.
Any questions?
The next 2 pages are, we have the tax levy information and detail models. As we've discussed, we've tried to tweak it, you know, we can tweak it at this point within the limiting factors and within caps. Certain funds have a specific cap, but we, as you can see, and the 2 pages are 07 and then 06. Just so you can see what happened last year, you know, last tax cycle year, and then this upcoming one. You know, tried to tweak VAC and IMRF as much as possible. It appears the VAC is going to be approximately roughly $46,000 higher. With that and the fact that we stopped the rental payment of $12,000, we had a gap of about $60,000 or $65,000 that we needed to fill. We're going to be awful close, you know, in doing that here. So this should put us pretty close. We'll continue to work on IMRF, but just wanted to see what you thought as far as you know, where these numbers are at. Mr. Bossett, I don't know. I was trying to match up, as we talked about, with the extension, the U of I extension. I tweaked it by one digit, and it moved it quite a bit. So we may need to try to go back, you know, to that if you have some input on that. But
Any change on that, Mike?
Well, if you're asking for input, historically extension's been running about 2 cents, slightly over. With this adjustment this year, when they go from the calculated rate down to the limited rate, they took 0.2 cents out, which doesn't sound like much, but it's 10% of what they started with. I don't know if there's any opportunity to squeeze one of the other line items to put some of that back. 0.2 cents coming out of the one that's already 11 or 12 cents isn't as big a deal as one that's only 2 cents to start with. Yeah, the crisis is over, at least immediately, at the extension office, but they still don't know what next year's budget really is going to look like until get through the budget process, and obviously even further than that.
Are we saying leave it alone?
yeah, the original model was at 019. And that came in about 337, I believe, which would, you know, put it higher than a year ago, slightly higher. Just changing it 1 digit, you know, changed it by about 20 grand. So I could rotate that because I tried to tweak IMRF, like I said, as much as possible. So you know what I mean, as far as within all of them, you know, trying to make sure that everybody still at least received an increase of some sort. So we could go back to the 019 with that number, 190, we'll take a look at that. But just for informational purposes, Mark will probably expand on the billing cycle and all of that. But these are the numbers that once I sign off on them, this is what'll go and process and be done. So, any other questions or?
In a synopsis, in the levy request, just go over that bottom line. That'll be the question that most people ask.
The left column is the original request that happens in December there, and then all the maximum rates and things that are allowed get plugged in, and then the very top is all the changes that go into it with new property, and all the TIF and enterprise, and then you come up with the factor, and then that's where it gets plugged in down the road to the as far as the total extension column. And I think the confusing part with that we had discussions about the total extension is what gets billed out on the tax bill, and then as far as when TIF and enterprise come in, it's collected, but it's collected, and Mark distributes that, and then obviously all the taxing bodies receive, if they're in those TIF or enterprise zones, receive a different amount. So that's how everything rotates through, and we get to the the final number as it comes down. So
the total tax collection
will be the total extension column.
Any questions? And I think the rate increase this year was 5.9.
I forgot to call it, which gave you.
I don't see that here with the mic, but I think it's 5.9 is the increase this year. 5.9%. Of what?
What's the change?
Was the change. When we had the truth to taxation, we asked for 8, but the total was 5.9. When I was talking to Bruce's office.
Well, that aggregate extension base is out there, that's your base. And now,
Any other questions?
Just an update on the WIA formula funds going through. That we're in the process of trying to figure out how this is going to affect the county, mainly in the finance department. Some of the work that we do for that, is covered by the formula funds, specifically in the admin, which is not all shared by just the finance department, but also the workforce board locally here in their work. So as you can see, just in total, that the allocations have definitely changed, and they're actually lower than what they were 4 years ago, when we started this program here at the county and doing what was in our role. So we're working on that. I just wanted to give the board an update, and internally we're trying to see how we're going to adjust, because if you have a body and the percentages change, from doing workforce and internal, the county work and stuff, obviously will change, potentially can change, the dollar amounts that are needed, for what the general fund covers there. So it's just an FYI that we're working on, and just a big picture, as the county board is kind of, in an oversight type of capacity for these funds as well. So, any other questions on that?
Any questions?
And then the very final back page is the calendar. Once again, I didn't know if anybody had any questions or thoughts or input. We started this, in April, just rediscussing it now, and we'll be bringing, as June, identifies the detailed revenue worksheet. We'll take a look at where CPI is, as we then try to take what total revenues that we think will, happen, and then build it into the bottom lines, and, where we're heading as far as, a total picture of 09 that we'll communicate, have to try to communicate back and forth then with the department. So, I just, wanted to remind everybody, and see if there's any other discussion or input, as we continue on.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none? Thanks, Steve.
Good.
Keeping us posted here on our process on the budget. Next up, county treasurers. In your packet, as always, is the county treasurer report, which we need to pass, and the county collector's report, and the monthly resolution. And I'll look for a motion for the county treasurer report. Motion by Mr. Washington, second by Mr. Oldhoff. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like saying. Motion carries. County collector's report, need a motion on that. It's in your packet. Mr. Stauffenberg with a motion, Mr. Oldhoff with a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like saying. Motion carries. And the monthly resolutions, they're not in your packet. Oh, they are, okay. Yeah, they're in the packet. Last page. Need a motion to pass the monthly resolution. Mr. LeJesup with the motion, Mr. Washington with a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like saying. Motion carries.
Next Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll be getting everything from the county clerk. So what that means is we're approximately 20 days behind last year. State statute allows, I have to mail, when I mail the bills, I give 30 days by state statute, and the state statute also says that the second installment is delinquent after September 1st. So that's that. Do you have any specific questions? What I'm going to do for the taxi bodies is still do a distribution on July 1st, so that won't change them. What I'll do is I'll stop the presses and distribute what I do have. It won't be as much as, what we would have if it was due June. Last year they were due June 25th. So
You're looking for a due date?
no.
Oh,
The due date will be, I'm hoping July 14th and September 1st. Okay? I don't think, just my own personal opinion, I don't think it's, I had Steve Lear in last week and we talked about this. I don't think it'd be advisable if you change the second installment. I don't think that's a good trend to get into, because it is in the statutes, I have a copy of it, that it is September 1st. So I know it's a shorter gap, but I think it'll work. Any specific questions? We'll be ready to go and get them out. Yeah, that's all I have.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Other business, recorder contract. Oh. There we go. Mr. McElroy. Good.
See how it goes.
Okay.
Morning. The combination recorders, treasurers, auditors contract was referred to the state's attorney's office for review, as our statutory duty is to give legal advice on legal matters to the county board, and contracts being a legal matter, we looked at the contract. We've made recommendations for some corrections and some changes in the language. We're not recommending changing any of the benefits as such. So in other words, for whatever raises are in there, we're not making a change in that. What we're trying to do is clarify the language. Articulate language prevents disputes, and disputes are not good for either the employer nor the employee. So we want the language to be cleaned up in some areas. That being said, we have made some corrections in the draft. And an example, just a quick example of the type of correction would be what was presented to us, for example, for the raises. One office had a list of the raises and the jobs. The other one wrote it out another office wrote it out in a paragraph. And the third office just said it's 70 cents an hour. And it didn't give a base rate. So how could the county board possibly know what they're voting on? That all they know is it's a 70-cent raise. But they don't know what the base is, neither does the public. You'd have to go look it all up. And that's the kind of thing that we try to clarify. So what we did was we just put it in, all three of them, in a list format. And for that one office, we put in what the base was and include the raise in that list. I noticed another thing, even in our draft, though, that I saw a mistake. For example, there's an acronym, withdrawals from the KFL. Well, does everybody know what the KFL is? Does the general public know what the KFL is? Somebody should have wrote out what is the KFL and then put the acronym there so people know what it is they're reading. There were a lot of little things like that, and a lot of it was English language type things. So what we have is now a draft, a corrected draft, and I suppose the proper thing to do would be to have the subcommittee meet with the unions committee and make sure that the language is okay with them. If not, discuss what it is where the dispute is. And I suppose a person from the state's attorney's office should be there to explain why we made whatever changes we made. We're not changing, the substance of anything, but we are changing the language because we want it to be clear. We don't want an employee to be wondering, what does this mean? And we don't want a department head to be wondering, what does this mean? And it might be that the union has some suggestions for further clarity, I don't know. But there does need to be some clarifications, and we've made it in a draft.
Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I find the recommendations frustrating. I appreciate all the work that the State Attorney's Office has done, but there are some substantive changes within the draft. There was a tentative agreement, and what we took, and what the committee took, was the contract which was approved by the State Attorney's Office that was used for the Treasurer's Office and used that as a model. So there's simply a updating or changing it to fit the recorders. For example,
If we're going to discuss, we might want to have to go into executive session.
okay,
Discuss specifics.
that would be fine.
It's not on the agenda, but
Well, it doesn't have to be on the agenda if it comes up during the course of business.
I would then move if we go into executive session.
motion to go into executive session to discuss contract. Second by Mr. Washington.
Question?
Yes, Mr. Legis.
Would it be better to finish the agenda and then go into executive session?
Is that the committee's pleasure?
Yeah, let's do that.
So we'll hold off on the vote on it, okay? So we move to amend our agenda. Okay, we'll go along. Okay. We'll move that to the last. And our next is municipal lease. Sheriff? Sheriff, you're on. You want to do it there or here?
Here's fine, it shouldn't take very long. I think we got a grant from Congressman Weller to put cameras in cars. They've been a wonderful acquisition. Has really reduced the number of complaints against our officers. People come in and file a complaint about the way that an officer treated them or talked to them. In some cases, they say we pulled them out of a car, and the video is a wonderful thing to show them, and it reduced the complaints. That we are 10 cars short, and so we contacted the vendor, Panasonic, which has the state bid, asked them for a proposal to lease the other 10 cameras for 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, there's a $1 buyout, similar to what we have with our cars. And the price, I don't have it in front of me, but it's about $18.88 a month to do this. For the balance of this year, it's about $11,000. I wouldn't ask for anybody to adjust their budget. I believe the money will be in there. We have passed this to the state's attorney's office for their review. Bob looked at it.
I did. And I based it on line rates.
Yeah.
Seems to me for the 3 years, it was like 47,000
Yeah.
or something like that.
You're not asking for any money at this point, right? It's in your budget?
I think, looking at our budget right now, it's about $11,000 for the balance of the year. But obviously, we have to come before the county board if we're going to enter into a lease.
So we need an authorization for the chairman to enter into a lease. That's what we need, a motion to send this on the county board. Mr. Bossert with the motion. Looking for a second. Ms. Wilson with a second. Let's do a roll call.
Mr. Olthoff.
Aye.
Mr. Bossert.
Aye.
Ms. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Legess.
Aye.
Mr. Scholl.
Aye.
Mr. Stoppenberg.
Aye.
Mr. Washington.
Aye.
Ms. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Cruz.
Yeah. Aye.
Mr. Vickery.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you.
Question? Yeah. Bossert with a question.
Is there such a thing as paying for cameras out of tort?
I wouldn't think so.
You're preventing
Because
litigation,
it's-
you're preventing
Well,
litigation.
It's actually more helpful toward criminal prosecution. Nice try though, but.
I think Mr. Bossert is, what the committee is expressing to department heads is, go look for the money before you come to the general fund. That's what we're trying to get done, all right, so. Be creative. Okay. Iroquois Kankakee Regional Superintendent of Schools quarterly report, we need to pass that.
Where is it?
Oh, we just need to place it on file. We just go through the motion. Mr. Olthoff with the motion and Mr. Bossert with the second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Under old business, Mike Lammy has got a presentation very quickly. Come on up, Mike. Share money this
Good morning. Those of you on PCA have heard this part of the speech before, so congratulations, you get it twice. We got some money from the state out of the blue. It doesn't happen very often. It happens every once in a while. In December of 2007, we got a $45,701 check out of the blue, and we're told that it was for the fiscal year of the state fiscal year, which would have been July 1 of 2007 through June 30th of 2008. Nicole will stop me if I make a mistake, I'm sure. It was not a grant. It's a check that we were able to cash and stick at the bank. Unfortunately, that's caused the planning department a little bit of problems because of the counting rules. 5/12 of that money went into the previous year's county budget. So $19,000 is a gift to the general fund. So we'd like that noted on our future report card. What's happened with funding is that we've allowed the MPO Policy Committee to make decisions on where to spend the money. And there are 3 studies that are currently underway, and we want to make sure you're aware of those. There's an airport study, the land use, economic development, transportation study is an area roughly 2 miles around the airport. We've selected a consultant this afternoon at 3:30. The consultant makes their first presentation. That's going to go through October, and the report will come back to you in some form for information, I guess, as much as anything. Second thing is the lowest program that the economic development folks are using. It's so that somebody from outside the county can get onto a website and look at individual pieces of property that are available or buildings that are available from outside the county. We haven't had that up till now. It's already proved valuable. The third study is Freedom Drive. The village of Bradley sponsored this, and it's for a study of a road from Cardinal Drive to Illinois Route 50. It'll intersect with Route 50 roughly around where the existing off-ramp of Interstate 57 is right now. Do I think it's possible? No, I don't. But it's a study that Village of Bradley wanted to do, so we'll see what happens. Any questions about it?
Any questions? Need any action from the committee?
Nope, not at all.
FYI.
Thanks.
And we have Bill Gilmore.
Sorry.
Okay.
Morning, Bill.
Good morning, good morning.
I'm here this morning representing the County Building Commission, and as Jim said, be creative. This spring, I felt it was time to review the existing bonds due to the significant drop in prime rates. I felt that maybe the county could affect some savings through reissuing the bonds or rewriting the bonds as we had done with the health department. I instructed our bond advisors, Bernardi Securities, to do a run on the existing bonds, and one of the things I suggested was to put the bonds together. There are two current bonds, and I felt it might be a good idea to put them together. Unfortunately, the municipal bond market has not ramped down as significant as the prime interest rate. As you all know, the prime rate has dropped significantly, and if you have any CDs, you know you're getting about 2% now. So that's the good news for the prime rate, but the municipal rates have not dropped substantially. So they felt that at this particular time, it's not in our best interest to reissue the bonds or do anything with them, but they would take another look at them within the year. I feel it's important that we do that because with the current financial condition throughout the United States, if we can affect some type of a savings in the annual payment on those bonds, it will certainly be in the best interest of the county. Are there any questions? That's basically all I want to tell you, just to let you know that the Building Commission, even though we now only meet bi-monthly, since we don't have any projects on the horizon,
It's not entertaining around.
that we do look at and review some of the things that we have on the books. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from the committee? Hearing none. Thanks, Bill, for the report.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion to go into executive
Thanks for
session.
looking out for us.
Oh, that's right. We have a motion, we have a second.
Mr. Olthoff,
All right.
Mr. Bossert,
Aye.
Ms. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Legess,